Hello, this is another Dad and Gab movie review.
Actually, it's Gab and Dad.
I'm sorry, Gab and Dad. I gotta get that right. Last night, Gab and Dad and my grandson Max, who is 7 years old, went to see Transformers. It was opening night, and tell us something about Transformers. Everybody knows what Transformers is.
I think, yeah, for better or for worse, everybody knows Transformers. This is the sequel. The first one 2 years ago was a huge hit, based, of course, on the 80s childhood toy Transformers.
Who got the idea from the toy from the 1980s to make this movie?
Whatever Hollywood geniuses sit around, picking their noses, trying to figure out what the next.
Somebody picked up the toy from the boardroom table and said, "Hey,
oh, this is cool."
Hey,
yeah.
This is cool.
And they are cool. And the first movie was cool. It was a novelty to see those kinds of creatures, whatever you want to call them, the effects. The story
By the way, there's
was
an inherent
okay.
contradiction here because they're robots, they're mechanical, but they are alive, right? They have the attributes of human beings, even though they're robots.
Well, that's a whole other thing, which is sort of, if you think about it, I think you just can't think about it too much. Because at one point, Optimus Prime is talking and he's blinking, and I'm thinking, why does a robot have to blink?
Yeah.
And some of the robots speak with slang.
And one of the robots cried. Remember that?
Right, one cried, and one of them has a British accent. Like, why is that robot British? We digress. I mean, those are the kind of things you cannot think about. And you need to not think about a lot of things with this film and try to enjoy it on a different level. However,
one of the things you need to not to think about is why would they make this garbage? But anyway, that's another thing.
Dad wasn't a fan. Well, you didn't see the first one, so
No.
you're coming at this from a sort of different perspective. So why?
I'm coming at it from the grumpy old man perspective.
Well, you always come at everything from that perspective. So why don't you?
Everything?
You go ahead.
Well, what I want to say about this film is it's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And I would actually think that major surgery for 2.5 hours might be a preferable experience. I mean, the film is, to me, first of all, incomprehensible. I've no idea what it was all about, except in the most rudimentary sense of good versus evil, which most movies are about in some way or other. Secondly, it's this kind of riot of noise and colour. It all blurs together. It's an assault on the senses for no good purpose, as far as I'm concerned. And it's
good purpose for Max.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's troubling though in a way that this is this hugely popular entertainment. It's probably going to, for sure, be the biggest movie this weekend. It might gross 100 million. It's huge, and it's troubling that people lap it up. It's without character. It's without soul. It's without heart. It's without just about everything except noise and intense blurring color.
Well, those things alone have redeeming value for a certain kind of entertainment. I don't think that it's disheartening that people enjoy it because they could be enjoying worse. I mean,
Well, they could be enjoying a snuff film, I suppose.
There's a big gap. You're comparing this to a snuff film? That's pretty extreme. I mean, there is really no redeeming value to it, obviously. It's about the most shallow kind of entertainment you can get, but there are aspects of it that are entertaining. There's too much of it, but you can compare it to a lot of things. I mean, Michael Bay makes a lot of, like Pearl Harbor, which is about World War II or what have you. The subject matter is serious, but the movie is still completely bombastic, ridiculous. So it depends on what level that you're analyzing it.
I mean, a movie can be sort of trivial in a way, but nonetheless highly entertaining. I mean, we haven't reviewed The Proposal, but I went to see The Proposal the other evening. I mean, it's an old-fashioned romantic comedy. There's very little to it, but it's, in some ways, very entertaining. I mean, you just walk out thinking, I've just spent a couple of hours, whatever it is.
It was a diversion.
It's a diversion, and this film isn't like that.
It's all surface.
As Dorothy Parker said about Los Angeles, I mean, there's no there. There's no there when it comes to this film.
It is all surface, but you can enjoy, or younger people that aren't as grumpy can enjoy it on that level. But then you're not going to walk away with anything. I mean, the same people who wrote Star Trek, this year's Star Trek film, and I think that's a good example of a good combination of effects, story, characterization, escapism, but with a bit more to it, underlying levels. It's not Casablanca, it's not Citizen Kane, but it covers all that terrain that is a much more satisfying whole.
I mean, trying to be more positive, as people tell me I should be, a couple of good things perhaps about this film. One is, I mean, the computer-generated effects are really extraordinary. And in some ways, I wish the film had slowed down.
So
you could appreciate them more.
Linger on the transformation.
Yeah, I mean, the transformation of this truck, for example, into a robot is really quite extraordinary.
It's a beautiful thing.
But it happens so quickly with so much noise and racket, and that you can't really just look at it and say, wow, which you could otherwise. So I think that's a drawback. But nonetheless, the computer effects are extraordinary. And I noticed the cinematography is good. I mean, there's some very interesting shots and so on. So there's some real skill and creativity.
There's some thrills there.
Yeah, but
the package doesn't justify those brief moments. No. And at 2.5 hours, God help us.
Yeah, God help us. I mean, I wandered off into the night after this film on my way to the subway station, thinking to myself, you know, if this is the most popular entertainment for this summer, there's no hope for civilization. But there you go. That's just me. I
just went home, went to bed, and had the first good night's sleep I've had in a few nights. So I recommend this movie to insomniacs at least.
There you have it.